All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled "Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father" at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled "Principles Matter." American culture is one which has a lot of principles, but part of the culture is you can always use something to circumvent principles. You know, hard work pays off. That's a principle, right? But in American culture, you can manipulate the system of hard work paying off. So you could circumvent the principle. And look at the history. Race, class circumvents the principle, right? But ultimately, principles matter. The thing that people seem to forget is, there's quote unquote man's law, nature's laws, God's laws. And even if you circumvent the principles of hard work paying off, there's that principle of easy come, easy go. It is what it is. But I don't just mean like this is not about like a financial thing. I mean principles in general. Like, the truth doesn't have to, can stand on its own. That's a principle. See, lies can't live forever. And in our culture, we try to make a lie live forever. And guess what? It crumbles over time because principles matter. You can't just do whatever you want to do. Like, you reap what you sow. You can't just do whatever you want to do and there is no consequence. Even that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Principles matter. So it's funny to me because I think about how many times people try to just do any old thing and people say, look, man, that's not gonna work. If you wanted to be a good student, you had to study. That's the principle. To get better, you got to put in the work, right? But you see people trying to circumvent the principles. Oh, well, I don't really have to study as long as I know how to cheat, as long as I, know how to pay somebody to do it, and they'll do it for me. And what wound up happening is, look how many educated idiots you see. How did you get how were you an honor roll student? How did you get on a D's list? How did you graduate? How do you have a degree? Why? Because you got the piece of paper, but you're stupid, right? Because you didn't study, you didn't put in the work. So ultimately, you have an accolades, but you have no intelligence. Because principles matter, and you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that intelligence more than you are gonna need that accolade. The principle. Train a child the way you would want them to go. People try to circumvent that principle and they just let these kids fend for themselves. But then you turn around and say something's wrong with these kids. Well, you didn't follow the principle of training them in the ways you want them to go. So what can you complain about, right? And that's it's a normal thing, right? Well, people gotta figure it out because the principles matter. It is what it is. We tell people things like, you have to give respect to get respect, or respect everybody, and you treat people well, and those people in life in general will treat you kindly. Do right by people. Do the right thing. The the measure of your humanity is going to be based on you doing the right thing even when it costs you, because you're going to be tested. Your ideologies, your essence, your belief system is going to be tested in life. So what you believe is going to actually have a moment of truth, and people try to circumvent that also. Like there will be no moment of truth, and the principles matter, because if you take shortcuts, you're gonna end up having a shorter life, in a sense. You can't cut corners and expect to have success. And that's a problem, and that's a principle, and a lot of times we don't take into consideration that the principles matter, because when people take shortcuts, well, I got here faster than you. Yeah, but there's that old story in the Bible about the guy who built his house on sand and the guy who built his house on a mountain. The one that built it on sand, he took a shortcut. It didn't work out for him in the long run. It just is what it is, right? Because the principles matter. This ideology that if you're sorry, you have to atone it. That's a principle. It's not. It's not. The principle wasn't just say you're sorry and move on. And that's the thing. People believe it's just say you're sorry and move on without paying that debt. But that's not the case. When you circumvent the principle of doing something wrong, and you apologize, but you never atone or repair that situation, the principle matters, because you probably going to continue to do that, and then you're going to pay a price that you probably aren't willing to pay. But it's too bad. It's too late for that. Because the principles matter. What you put in is what you get out, right? And that's the same thing. Principle. That will go for work, but that also goes for your health. What you put into your body is going to show. What you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So if you're trying to, be the healthiest and the best you can be, you're going to have to put the best things and the healthiest things in. How do they say, if you put junk in, you're going to get junk out? It is what it is, because the principles matter. You can't circumvent that. People try to. This is why people have all these surgeries and these supplements and all these other things. But guess what? It just makes you worse in the end of the day. It's a quick fix for a time period, but in the long run, no, it's not going to do you any justice, because the principles matter. Learn that, it sounds weird to say this, but you have to learn before God can trust you with the big stuff, he has to trust you with the small stuff. And the principles matter. It's levels. You gotta, take your time and go up a level. You may be able, this just ideology of I can circumvent working my way up and just skip levels. Well, not many people could do that. And what happens is sometimes, you skip a level, and that level you skip, and principle comes back to bite you, because you know you're unaware or unprepared because of the things that you missed out on. And you see this all the time. People who can go from nothing to something and be successful. They found out that they've got cheated time and time and time again. And why? Because they skipped a few steps on their way to quote unquote overnight success. And there's a problem. Because now, you know, they didn't know what they would have known if they'd have went up level by level. But and a lot of people don't want to take this into consideration, that at the end of the day, you know, people often are saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It'll work out in the end." Not if you don't follow the principles. It won't. You know, and that's why principles matter. Because if you think that you could just do it, can circumvent all of man's laws, nature's laws, and God's laws, and just and you be an exception, and you are an exception to the rule, you're gonna find yourself sadly mistaken. Because what's gonna wind up happening is, whatever laws you break are gonna be the very laws that shackle you afterwards. So it is what it is. Y'all have a good night. We out. Peace.